welcome. I'm going to be talking about classroom management. I am old school. I am not the cushions on the floor and kids pick where they sit and, yes, there's a cushy couch in the corner and you guys can curl up on there, and as long as you're listening, it's good. That's not my style. But what I have noticed is it takes all styles. And so you kind of need you need someone to be the bitch. And that's me where we are now. I've always run a classroom with rules. So it's not something I necessarily mind doing. Every in-service that I have ever gone to, somebody during the week will stand up there and tell you that the students should make up the class rules. And I'm here to tell you no. Absolutely not. Students can help you come up with class norms, but there needs to be a set of guidelines by the teacher that lets the kids know that there are expectations. And you are teaching children. They do not need the responsibility of coming up with the rules. They don't need to be given an adult role. Take that off their shoulders and say, look, in my classroom, there is no running. Why? Because these lab benches have sharp corners. Plus, there's no running in a lab. Okay? There's no horseplay in a lab. If you look at lab rules for any corporate lab, you don't do that. Okay? There's no food back in the lab area. I don't let them eat during my class. They can come in and finish up a snack while I'm taking roll and getting ready, but once class starts, there's no eating. One thing, they have no clue what's been done in that classroom beforehand, and do they really want to eat in there? And most of them, after having seen owl pellets, don't. There is an expectation because safety is my priority. And I tell them that right off the bat. First day, the one thing I can do is keep you safe. And every single rule in here is for that reason. And as weird as it sounds, as much as they get frustrated because I have these rules, they know exactly what to expect. There is no doubt. There is no gray area. I am consistent. As much as they hate it, I am consistent. I will hold everyone to the same standard. Now that, if someone's dog died over the weekend, I am absolutely going to let them sit there in that class the next day or so and just zone out. Things like that you make exceptions for. But if that happens, you do it for every student. Any student who has something in their life like that, you give them that same chance. So you have to be consistent. You have to show them there are boundaries. Within those boundaries, they have freedom, but they're not going to cross those boundaries. One thing that really helps, you have to have admin support. I am extremely lucky right now at the school I'm at. We have a dean of students who handles the disciplinary procedures, and he is amazingly supportive. So in that regard, I know how lucky I am. A couple of things that I think help with this. Don't let them call you by your first name. Don't. I know that you want to win a place in their heart. I know that you want to give them confidence and encouragement to be able to speak freely to you. But they are children and you are the adult. And there needs to be a boundary of some kind. And as weird as it sounds, that name is a formal boundary. And if you let them call you by your first name, then that boundary disappears, along with a lot of your authority. And I know that there are people who will argue this, but I also would say that those are probably people who have had more issues in the classroom as far as student outbursts and students misbehaving. There is a position of power, and we should never abuse that. But there is also a comfort in that for the students. They can give their responsibilities to us. We're the adult, we will take them. You start getting on a first name basis, and that dynamic, I think, changes. And I don't think it changes for the better. So you can disagree with me all you want. I have been called by my first name at one school I taught at overseas, but it was always with a miss in front of it. And that was because my last name was so hard to say. You know, they would call me Miss Stephanie. And there was always that miss in front of it. So if you're going by your first name, you need some type of qualifier in front of it. Mr., Mrs., Miss, something like that. Because again, that separation is there. And I truly believe it is something that gives students the idea that there is a protective adult over them. They are not in charge, and they can relinquish that and relax and be kids. And I do think that having them come up with the rules and having them on a first name basis and all of this stuff really in many ways makes it their life harder. They can't just be kids. And I think they need to be able to. Do not buy your students love. Okay, don't. I do Oreos, one, if I have gotten an amazing, glowing report from a substitute. I will bring Oreos for the class. It's not something they expect, and I don't tell them I'll do it. I will do Oreos for birthdays for my homeroom. And if two kids have a birthday in the same week, we celebrate at the same time. You can't constantly provide snacks. You can't constantly be doing treats. Do not buy their love. Okay, just don't. It doesn't work. It's not lasting. It's not respect. I'm going to get on a soapbox. Part of the problem is for so long we have given out participation prizes. Oh my goodness, you get a trophy for breathing. Here you go. Kids are incapable of being bored. They don't want to be bored. They have to be entertained 24/7. School is not necessarily entertaining. It is their job. Okay, we can't entertain them. You do not owe them snacks. Now, that being said, I keep protein shakes in the fridge in my classroom. And a kid who comes in and asks if I have any snacks because they're hungry, I will say, I have a protein shake. Would you like one? 9 times out of 10, they'll look at me and say, you don't have any Takis? No, Takis aren't food. If you're hungry, I have something with 30 grams of protein, and you are welcome to it. You want chips? I'm sorry, no. Okay? I have no problem, giving a protein shake to somebody who needs it. But I'm not giving them Takis. I'm not keeping crackers in my classroom. That draws mice. Don't want that. Okay? Don't buy their love. There needs to be this shift back to a motivation from inside. We are not doing students a favor. We aren't. With all of the, I don't want to say all of the support, because students need support. Students need scaffolding. Students need a chance. But students also need to be told, I'm not accepting that because it's too late. You actually do have to do this. This is not adequate work, and you need to redo it if you want a passing grade. And I know parents whine about that. Oh my goodness, my child is an A student. No, your child is average. Your child is average. Not everyone is an A student. Our kids in school have never failed. They have never picked themselves back up, and they have never proven to themselves that they can continue on. We need to allow them to be resilient. Okay? And that can only happen when they feel safe in your classroom. And if they are taking on the responsibility of being in charge of the classroom, they can't necessarily feel safe. If you think about it, and you think back to your favorite teachers, it may be you had a lot of freedom in their classroom. But if you truly think about it, they had specific boundaries. You knew what those were. And I think that that's a problem today. A lot of times there aren't clear boundaries. That consistency is their safe place. And I truly believe that. I think that if you want to have good classroom management, you need to be honest with your students. You need to lay out the boundaries. You need to be consistent. You cannot bluff. If you say you are going to do something, you need to do it. As weird as that sounds, they know they can rely on you then. If this teacher says they're going to do something, they do it. You need to be reliable. You need to be the backbone in that classroom. And again, there are probably a lot of people who disagree with this. And it may work for you, to be a different way. I have not seen it work all that well. Class needs to be a safe place. And for it to be a safe place, there needs to be one person in charge. And that is my feeling for classroom management. You are the manager. You are in control. It is up to you to make that a safe space. And to do that, you need to be the adult in the room. So, those are my thoughts on classroom management. Take them as you will. Hopefully, I forgot one thing. And it's too late to do this year for pretty much everyone. I start the year off with the kids in assigned seats. I keep them in assigned seats. I will actually talk to the teachers they had the grade before. So I get the rising 7th grade, I will go talk to the 6th grade teachers and say, who should I not sit together? Who would work well together? And I know that that's a luxury in a small school. But yeah, I start off with seating charts, and I will adjust them throughout the first weeks of the school. That really, I think, makes a huge difference. The kids walk in, There's an expectation, there's a seat, they know where they go, and it kind of sets the tone. Okay, now, I know that was kind of a little heavy, and that probably is not what 90% of you agree with, but hey, you know, that's my classroom management. On a lighter note, the win for the week. This actually is a 2-week thing. I do 8th grade physical science, I do physics first. First semester is physics, second semester is chemistry. I do math-based physics for the kids. For one thing, they're learning the stuff in 8th grade math, or they learned it in 7th grade math. We start off with percentages, that's the last thing they covered in 7th grade math. So why not teach it in science? Science is applied math. I've actually never had problems with this. Even those students who struggle in math, many times because there's a reason to do it, and because the units tell them how to do it, it's easier for them to do math and science than it is math in a math class. So, first unit in physical science is basic skills. Graphing, percent ratios, we get into dimensional analysis, lab safety, lab technique, but we just did percentages. And so I do an M&M activity where I have about 45 students total in the 8th grade. So about 3 family bags of M&Ms. I scoop out about 2 servings into a little snack bag. They separate the colors, they count them out, and they enter their data into a Google spreadsheet that I have prepared. And I have both classes enter it. I share it on in Google Classroom, and they put their totals for all of the colors, and then they put their added total. And the next day, I teach them how to do formulas in Google Sheets. So I teach them how to sum, I teach them how to average, I teach them how to type in the formula for percent and median and mode. I teach them how to do bar graphs and how to do pie charts and how to change the colors to match the colors of the M&Ms. So that went really well. They had a good time doing it. We got some good numbers. They learned how to calculate error. They learned how to calculate the degrees for the pie chart, because they're all basically the same equation. So we could talk about why you use certain numbers. You multiply by 100 for percentage, but you multiply by 360 for degrees, because there's 360 degrees in a circle, and 100 is 100%. And so that kind of makes sense to them when they can apply it like that. So I do math-based physics first semester. I think chemistry and the abstract idea of atoms and molecules is actually harder for them to grasp than the math. And so my win for the week is that little M&M activity. The kids get to eat the M&Ms. It is totally worth it, and you get to work through some actual practical skills. So I hope that you have found something in this video helpful, and thank you again for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.